Good morning and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to have a look at the feature race at Moonee Valley on Saturday. That's the Feehan handicap. And I'm also going to have a talk to Rod Cleary. Now Rod Cleary runs vicbet.com and is also a bookmaker at the major races in Melbourne and is a fourth generation bookmaker. Good morning, Rod.
Good morning, Gary. How are you this morning?
I'm going very well. So things are going well for you with the new approach on the website?
Yes, correct. It's been over 12 months. I started the 1st of August last year, so 13 months in.
And you're offering a improved offering, a better offering than any other bookmaker in Australia with best of the best on every single race in Australia. I've got your website here for the folks who are watching. And I'm just wondering if you can give us a little bit of a roadmap through it. I've obviously got the Feehan Stakes up here on show, but just going down the menu, you can see that it's fairly easy to follow, but if you'd just like to go through it for us.
Yeah, absolutely, G. Well, basically, I'm just horse racing. There's no sports, no harness, no greyhounds. So the website works very, very easy. It's quite user-friendly. Doing horse racing every day of the week except Christmas Day I found is a good thing because a lot of punters are either horse racing punters or sports punters. I found there's not a big overlap. So the majority all the ones I have are just horse racing punters. But getting back to the BOB, generally what I do, I would do it every race meeting in Australia except Tasmania racing. Unfortunately, with Tasmania racing, they can't get the odds correct. And in that context, what I mean is, for example, if you have a Devonport race, say at 4 p.m, the official price for the non-metros is 20 minutes, and for the metro meetings is 25 minutes before the jump. So that's how the best of the best is the best of the top fluctuation in that official price 25-minute or 20-minute time frame, and the best of the best tote, which is the 3 TABs.
Yeah.
But in Tasmania, unfortunately, what they do, they calculate their official price from 9 a.m. in the morning.
Well, that's no good then. But anyway, I think we capture 99% of the market by covering every other race. And I've actually got Moonee Valley Race 8 up on Saturday, and that's the Feehan, and it's a rather broad betting market there, but I'm just looking if you could explain across the options there from the fixed win across, and just to let everybody know what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically going from left to right, G, the first option is the fixed odds, so there's the fixed win and the fixed place. So what I do, down the bottom of the column, I have the bookmaker's percentage that is being bet. For those people that are not familiar with percentages, it adds up to 100. So, for example, if you have a horse at number 5, for example, best of days, it's $5. For the older people like my generation, that's 4 to 1. So we got 80 to 20. So that's calculated as 20%. All those percentages there add up to 131%. And similarly, you've got to place percentage, which in that case is 384%. But that's the first column, is the fixed column. The second column is the best tote for the win. So that simply is whatever the 3 TABs pay, Super Tab, New South Wales TAB, and Queensland TATs. So whatever the best price is, that's what you get. The tote is the middle tote for the place. There's been such large discrepancies in the tote for the place now that I think nearly everybody does mid-tote the place, no more best tote place.
I did notice, though, that you are offering fixed place bets, so that's probably the best option when you think about it.
Absolutely, G. In fact, on a race like the John F. Feehan Stakes there, the Group 2 on Saturday, being 15 runners, I'll just be 1/4 of the odds for the place. So once again, number 5 is $5, so it'll be $2 for the place, best of days.
Yeah, so for people to get the absolute best of the best, when do they have to have those bets placed in order to get that?
Yeah, good question. So what happens, once again, with the official price that comes through, the 25 minutes before the race is when the top fluck and the best of the best will disappear. So for that simple reason is, like, say, for example, someone had, pick out a horse, let's say number 7, Mahometas. Let's say it's $26 currently. If the official price opened at 26, then the second call could be 17. In that case, I can't leave the BOB there because the horse is already shorted. So as a rule of thumb, the BOB will disappear and the top fluck will disappear as soon as the first price call comes through 25 minutes before the race.
Okay, Rod. Well, I know you've got a really special deal on this particular race on Saturday, but first of all, I'm just going to go through to the GTX program and what I've personally assessed in this race so far. So for everybody watching, you can see there's a column there, it's marked as other, and you can see some of them are blank and the rest of them are in the red there. When I first looked at this race, every single runner had a penalty against it, and one of the reasons I have those penalties is for horses that in normal races would be considered unfit. In these particular races where you're getting the best horses and they're set for particular races, you've got to go through and have a look and see what they've done in the past to get an idea. So, for example, Canedna, which is now our top-rated horse, and I'm a bit wary about it because usually she doesn't perform best until 2 or 3 runs back from a spell. I've actually gone in, I've taken the 20-point penalty off Canedna and used her ratings on her second up spell from a spell last time. The ones that are first up, I've done the same, except I've gone to their first up run last time. So it's interesting in this race, I've got Canedna on top, best of days, and to be honest, I don't really like the race for the very reason that every horse in the race, under our normal rules and statistics and the like, would be unfit. However, and this is some of the time where the market tells the story. So if we go back to the VicBet site, I notice you've got one horse there flashing, which is number 3, Homesman. Would that be sort of an indication that there's money coming for that particular runner?
Oh, no. The way I've got it set up, G, is that simply the favourite is flashing. So it's the shortest price, $4.40. Canedna, as you mentioned, is $10. Just looking at the form, 17 times in the money out of 28 starts. That's a pretty good strike rate.
It is.
But that's the reason that's flashing is simply because it is the favourite. If they were equal favourites, like say Best of Days, in fact, just for the exercise, I can make I'll make Best of Days and Homesman. I'll make them both equal favourites, and I'll just show you how we can have 2 horses flashing at the same time. So I'll make them both $5. So if you refresh the screen, you'll see there's now 2 horses at $5 and they're both flashing.
Oh yeah, very good. Just by the way, looking at Gallic Chieftain, which, look, I don't really think it can win, but my observation is that when the markets were first released yesterday, I could have got $71 on Gallic Chieftain, and this morning, variously, it's around the $40-odd mark. And
Yes.
so somebody thinks it's going to be fit enough to do something. It is a very tough race, but I also might mention, just for people, we better tell the people about what you're going to do for people who happen to be lucky enough to back the winner on Saturday.
Yes, so getting back to the BOBG, that is the best of top fluck and the best hope. So once again, a horse like, say, you mentioned Canedna, it might be $10 to $12 back into 10, so the official top fluck is $12. Then the totes might pay $10, $11, $13. So the best tote is $13. So the best of the best would be $13. So just for your Winform clients, we're doing $1 over the best of the best.
So in other words, they'd get $14.
Correct.
And
yes,
and there'd be a limit of how much they could put on that.
It'll be $100.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good offer. So just to explain to everybody else now, you can see that You've got some other options which you might call novelty bets below there. Can you just explain, looking at that second one there, 50 stars, Yulong Prince and the Chosen One, and the prices in head-to-head? So that would be 50 stars to beat the Chosen One would be, what, $2.51? Is that right?
Well, actually, looking at that there on currently, it's $2.65, 50 stars, and $2.51 the Chosen One, and $3.07 Yulong Prince. So what that is, it's a head-to-head event, but it's a little mini race in 3. So the way I've devised this system is it's basically, once again, actually, if you go to the one above it, Homesman, Best of Days, and Sucravan, it's basically the favourite versus the second favourite versus the third favourite in a mini race, and they can finish 6th, 7th, and 8th. So if you back the one that finishes 6th, you win that. And also the second head-to-head is simply the 4th, 5th, and 6th favourites all against each other. And once again, if they run 11th, 12th, and 13th, and if you back the one that finishes 11th, you win that event. The other option with the head-to-head is, and quite a few people like it, where I could do a head-to-head event just with 2 horses. So you might say, okay, I think Mahomedas will beat Beau Balmain. So I can put a head-to-head online, just one horse against another horse. And some people like that. And so there's the option of 2 in a head-to-head or 3.
Okay, well, that's all good. So I think what remains to be done now, just give us an idea. I did notice one thing when people want to make a deposit to their accounts now. A lot of my members have asked me whether they could use Poly, which is a sort of instantaneous transfer. I notice you've got that now, but what do people who haven't got an account do to organise one?
So to set up an account?
Yep.
Yeah, very, very easy. Takes about 2 minutes, G. You just click on join up the top right, put in your details, choose your username and password, and then it'll give the option if you'd like to make a deposit straight away. You have debit, credit cards, Poly, or you can do a bank transfer. And then sometimes the problem with a bank transfer, as you just mentioned, Poly's instantaneous. Sometimes, depending on the bank transfer, it might take 24 hours. Yeah. And as we both know, the fickle nature of both sides of the fence, punters and bookmakers, we like it instantaneous. Yeah. So that's where Poly is. It's an Australian post business, and it works very, very well.
Okay, so that's all good. So our members can get in there, and you'll be offering a special bet similar to that each week through the spring until the end of the Cup Carnival.
Correct. Yeah, I have my newsletter, which, and in fact, I might put this podcast in my next newsletter, a link to it, G. So in the very bottom left-hand corner is B News, and that's where there's an archive of all my past newsletters. You've got a few mentions, as you know, and there's a good joke there and some of the bets I've taken and some other racing matters, and there's some other information there that's all related to horse racing.
Okay, so we'll leave it there, and I'll just go through these runners again, and you never know, you might not want to take chances against my assessments, but although I do remember years ago, you'll all know when Mark Reed first started phone betting, and I'd ring him up to place a bet with him, and I'd say, okay, this is the horse I want to back, and he'd say, oh yeah, so that's 6-1, and he'd say, but to you can have 8-1. In other words, he was saying we don't think you're much of a punter. But in any case, so from the top, I've just ranked them how the numbers have come out. The ones down the bottom that we haven't mentioned, they could get up and win too, that's no problem, but it's not a race I particularly want to bet on myself unless I get value. But Canedna, it looks like there's a little bit of money has come for that. Best of Days and Holmes are in my top 5, and they're the favourites, as you know. So let's just wish the punters all the best of luck, and
yes, absolutely.
Let's just hope you lose a lot of money on the race, handing out an extra $1 times 100 to all of my clients who choose to bet.
Correct.
Good.
Absolutely. Right.
Thanks very much. And if people want to call you directly, 0412 126 126.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, that's the one.
Great. Thanks, Rod.
See you. Bye, Gary. Bye.